On this episode of Uncle Brent's Shed, we fire up the Hemi. Right, as you can see, the engine is bolted to a stand. I've put the manifolds on it. Extractors aren't the ones for this engine. I've just put old ones on it so I can run the cam in, because if I put the painted ones on, it's probably going to burn all the paint off. Flywheel, just put a manual flywheel on it for now, just so I can get the starter motor on there. Now I've just got to mock up I want to put a radiator on it, and obviously alternator, so I can put the belt on. So it has Penrite running in oil in it. That'll only be in there till the cam's broken in after 20-25 minutes, and then it'll get an oil change. I'll also cut that filter open and inspect that. Make sure there's no nasties in there. Then it will get a fresh load of oil. If everything's spot on and I'm happy, well, then the engine can go back in the car. Once the engine's back in the car, obviously I'll take it for a few test drives. Then I want the owner probably to do 500 Ks, I reckon. Should be enough, and then we'll get it back and fit the inner valve springs and give it another oil change. And then it's going to Adelaide somewhere, I believe, to get dyno tuned. So that will be awesome. Now we're at the point where we have, obviously the manifolds are bolted on, the carby's plumbed. I literally took 10 minutes to mount that radiator. It's a bit how you going, but it's on there. All we need to do on this side is basically run a fuel line from the pump to a jerry can, then time number 1 to the distributor. I'll show you how to do that statically. Hopefully that works with this type of ignition. And then we just run the firing order 153624. Then I'll remove the oil filter while the plugs are out and just crank it until we get oil at the filter. Put the filter on. I've got an oil pressure gauge there, ready to go. So we've got the plugs out, obviously. We're taking the oil filter off. I've got a bit of sticky tape there just so I don't mess up my paint. Got the fuel hooked up, so while we're mucking around cranking bits and pieces and checking top dead center, it'll be priming itself with fuel. So we'll give the starter motor a bit of a hit, and as soon as we get oil there, we'll stop, and then I'll put the filter on. Alright, now to get top dead center on number 1, we simply crank it with our finger in the plug hole on number 1. As soon as we hit compression, we stop, and then we line up the top dead center mark on the crank pulley, and that should be number 1. I overshot it. Right, now you can't see that timing mark because it's behind that bolt, but I need to roll that up to, I like to go just before top dead center. Now with older cars with points, you can set your timing at what you want it. For example, 6 or 7, 8 degrees. You set your mark there. You have your ignition on and you turn your distributor backwards and forwards till your spark plug sparks, and then you lock it up at that point and it will be near spot on. That's called static timing. I'm gonna try it with this one, but I don't know how my luck's gonna go being electronic, so we'll just try it, trial and error as we go. Right, so we have it a few degrees before top dead center on number 1. I just put the dizzy in, aligned the distributor rotor button up with that little mark there. I'm assuming that's number 1, and I've just pointed it in a, towards the front. You wouldn't really put it back here and then have it wide for number 1. So now we can just stick the cap on and put the leads on in order. That was pretty straightforward. The first 3 leads are obviously different lengths. So obviously you put the longest one on 1, 2, 3. The rear 3, one was real short, that lead. These 2, sorry, this one. These 2 were the same length, so it's just a matter of puzzling them around till you get the right combination you're happy with. So we've got the timer light ready, got the carby adjuster ready, got no thermostat in it, so it shouldn't have a problem with air bleeding. Right, we'll see if it's going to fire and go from there. And oil pressure. Just give her a couple of pumps. Rightio, that'll wrap this video up. Obviously we've run the cam in. That was probably a good 20-25 minutes. We took the rocker cover off, put a texture mark on the push rods, fired it up, let it idle, made sure the push rods are all turning. That's all good. So we'll put the cover back on. Now this engine is good to go back in the car. So that'll probably be the next step. So that was pretty successful. We had a few vacuum leaks and whatnot when we first started, as you would have heard. It was running a little bit rough, but we got there in the end, and it sounds pretty cool. I'm over the moon with it. So, all right, cheers for watching, and look after your mates.
Whoa!